these lifestyle interventions are so important to help people recover from cancer treatment to prevent other chronic diseases. But also, these studies show improved outcome from the cancer itself. There actually is a field called exercise oncology. How cool is that? They really came together over this shared connection of we have breast cancer and we want to be empowered with these tools to thrive after our diagnosis.
This is the Transformational Life Consulting Podcast with Deepa Grandin, MD, where Christians like you get the practical support and tools you need to build your spiritual, mental, and physical well-being, and to guide you on your journey to health and wholeness based on evidence-based science and God's Word. I am your host, Dr. Deepa Grandin. Thank you to all our regular listeners for taking the time to listen to yet another episode of Time to Transform. I would also like to extend a warm welcome to our first-time listeners. We hope you find the information provided useful and will continue to make Time to Transform part of your spiritual health and wellness journey. I also would like to do a disclaimer that we are not providing medical advice. This is just a sharing of information. You always have to check with your physician before you make any changes. So I recently read an article that was titled, Kate Middleton just spotlighted the often ignored impacts of cancer treatment. Docs, take note. And that just caught my attention. And as I read through the article, it made me realize how much we miss the opportunity as providers to support our cancer survivors. So as a practicing lifestyle medicine physician, I focus a lot of my energy on cancer prevention. And this article really opened my eyes on the aftermath of cancer treatment and how optimizing good lifestyle choices can actually mitigate some of the harmful residual effects of cancer therapy. So for most survivors, life after cancer treatment can mark the beginning of a new chapter, one that often brings a complex mix. They feel relief, but there's also uncertainty and transformation that needs to happen over time. So while ringing the bell or finishing that final round of treatment is such a moment worth celebrating, many survivors do find themselves grappling with the unexpected physical, emotional, psychosocial challenges. A lot of them complain of fatigue, pain, cognitive changes, which is often referred to as the chemo brain. They also notice all these changes in their body, their body image that persists well after treatment ends. So emotionally, survivors can experience anxiety about recurrence, shifts in their relationship, and sometimes even a sense of isolation. During treatment, they were in constant contact with medical teams, and that goes away. And for some individuals, it can feel lonely and even scared. So it's crucial to recognize that survivorship is not simply the absence of disease. It's also an ongoing process of healing and adaptation. And integrating lifestyle medicine into post-treatment care has been shown to empower survivors to reclaim their health and improve long-term outcomes. Some of the evidence-based approaches, such as adopting an anti-inflammatory diet, engaging in regular physical activity, managing stress, maintaining strong social connections, all of these can play a significant role in reducing that risk of recurrences, as well as supporting mental wellness. So survivorship presents this unique opportunity. It gives these individuals the moments or even the opportunity to reassess their values, their priorities. It gives them a chance to go deeper, to address their sense of purpose, gives them a renewed meaning in life. So we need to remember to address the whole person and not just the cancer. We can redefine survivorship as a time of growth, resilience, and really to help people thrive and not just have a survival mentality. So, to understand this post treatment phase a little bit better and the role of lifestyle choices in reducing the burden of the cancer treatment effects, we have Dr. Amy Commander, and we're so fortunate to have her here again. She is a repeat guest on this podcast. Dr. Commander, she specializes in the care of women with breast cancer. She is the medical director of the Mass General Cancer Center in Waltham, where she also serves as director of breast oncology and cancer survivorship at the Mass General Cancer Center. And she's also an instructor in medicine at Harvard Medical School. She received her undergraduate degree and master's degree in neuroscience at Harvard University. She received her medical degree at Yale University School of Medicine. She completed her internal medicine residency training and hematology oncology fellowship training at Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center and Harvard Medical School. She is board certified in hematology and medical oncology, and she is the diplomat of the American Board of Lifestyle Medicine. So, Dr. Commander is actually well known for her compassionate care. She's passionate and devoted to her patients. She has served as a medical advisor to 1 in 40, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to educating people of Ashkenazi Jewish heritage about the 1 in 40 chance of having inherited a BRCA mutation. So that's really the mutation that puts people at high risk for developing breast cancer. So she is proud to serve on the board of the Ellie Fund, which is a nonprofit that provides services and support to women diagnosed with breast cancer in Massachusetts. So Dr. Commander has a strong interest in improving the quality of life and outcome of cancer survivors through important lifestyle interventions, including physical activity, diet, mind-body intervention. She promotes healthy lifestyles for both her active treatment patients as well as those in the survivorship phase of care. She has launched Paving the Path to Wellness, which is a 12-week lifestyle medicine-based survivorship program for women with breast cancer. So there couldn't be a better person to talk on this topic than Dr. Commander. So Dr. Commander, thank you so much for being here. Can you let us know what made you interested in lifestyle medicine and then incorporating lifestyle into the survivorship program?
First of all, I just want to thank you so much for that beautiful introduction, which really highlights the importance of this conversation. And I'm truly honored to join you to discuss a topic that is so important to me and important to you, and to, I hope, everyone listening as well. So that's a great question. How did I get interested in lifestyle medicine in the first place? And as you relate my bio, and I know we all have these long bios because medical training is obviously a long road. Through all those years of training, I'm going to acknowledge, I didn't learn a lot about how to write an exercise prescription, what are the benefits of a plant-forward diet, why do we need to sleep, like kind of basic things about health and well-being. I personally have always been interested in those topics as a runner, as a vegetarian, but how do you counsel patients about this? So I really honestly fell upon a lifestyle medicine conference being held in Boston down the street from Mass General. It was sponsored by the Institute of Lifestyle Medicine and Harvard Medical School. I blocked my schedule one day, went to the conference and was like, wow, this is really interesting. And gee, we should be using all of these tools to help our cancer survivor population. I just thought about my clinic and my patients and the questions they ask me every single day. So therefore, I wanted to learn more to be better equipped to answer their questions. And as you beautifully stated, to help them thrive after their cancer diagnosis.
Yeah, that's amazing. Sometimes it's a personal experience for some of the physicians before they, pivot and go into that direction of prevention. And then for some, it is that eye-opening awareness seminar that, just makes us question like, hey, maybe we need to be doing things a little bit differently. So I love how you talk about your aha moment of attending the seminar and then realizing, yeah, hey, I can actually incorporate this really important piece. So thank you for sharing that. So, Dr. Commander, after the last round of chemo or radiation, a lot of patients ask, now what, right? It's because it just dawns on them. Till that point, it was all about reaching the end of treatment. And now they're like, oh, now the treatment's done. Now what? So, how do you guide your patients in transitioning from treatment to true healing and thriving?
You raised such an important question, and I love how in your introduction you highlighted Kate Middleton's reflection on her own experience completing cancer treatment and then not having as much contact with her primary medical team, feeling a little lost and saying, wow, what's next? What's the roadmap? So let's acknowledge if Kate Middleton is experiencing this, every person who's gone through cancer treatment obviously is experiencing this to some degree. And that is exactly what I noted in my own clinic. I treat patients with breast cancer of all different stages. And often when a patient would complete chemotherapy, I would say, congratulations, this is the last cycle, you're done. You don't need to see me for 3 to 4 months. And to me, I'm like, that's great. She doesn't have to come back for 3 to 4 months. But to the patient, that's actually, yeah, she's happy to finish her treatment. But at the same time, there's this feeling of unease. Like, wait, I don't need to come back for 3 to 4 months. Who's keeping an eye on me? What if something's going wrong? Like, I'm not actively doing something for this cancer right now. So for our patients, it causes a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, and fear of recurrence, anxiety. These are all the concerns our patients are experiencing. So, having seen that in my own clinic for so many years, that's when I really realized, like, wow, we need a dedicated survivorship program based on the tools of lifestyle medicine to help patients recover after going through such intensive treatment and also feel like they have a sense of control of the next steps. What can a person do to optimize their health, well being, and ultimately outcome from their cancer? And that's why I think, and I know you agree, that these tools from lifestyle medicine have a key role.
Yeah, yeah. So that's amazing. I'm so amazed and impressed that you created the survivorship program because a lot of people miss even seeing that because it's just like, oh, okay, you're done, bye, right? But you actually could tap into that anxiety and that feeling of uncertainty, like how do I care for myself? And all that fatigue, like that chemo brain that patients suffer from, and they're comparing themselves post-treatment to their pre-treatment life. And sometimes that's not realistic. And just having that transitional 12-week program that you've created for the survivorship program gives them that reality check that, hey, I need to be proud of what I've achieved. It's okay. I just take it one step at a time. So just giving them those tools to really have that self check and see what should my expectations really be, right? So that's amazing that you've done that. So lifestyle medicine emphasizes a lot on the root causes and prevention. So how do you apply those principles to cancer survivors who are worried about recurrence?
Right. So we know that lifestyle medicine uses evidence-based tools based on the role of lifestyle interventions to treat and prevent chronic diseases. So for an individual with cancer, they might say, well, I already have cancer, so how does this apply to me? But increasing data really has shown that these lifestyle interventions are so important to help people recover from cancer treatment, to prevent other chronic diseases and
Yeah.
reduce risk of other cancers, but also really exciting, these studies show improved outcome from the cancer itself. So that is huge. And I could share many examples of that, but really, this field is just taking off, which is very exciting for me to see. So I think it's really important for cancer survivors to be educated about the important role of lifestyle medicine to help them recover. And also, again, that concept of taking control of one's health and feeling empowered is so important. And I know you agree. I, of course, see that in your own patients as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So the nutrition advice for survivors can really be confusing, and there's a lot of contradictory information out there. So, in your view, what are the most evidence backed dietary principles for reducing recurrence risk?
Such a great question. And I do feel like our patients are in a minefield with all the information on social media, whether it's Instagram or TikTok or you name it. Okay. In fact, one of my highly educated patients who I respect greatly sent me a message yesterday asking about some supplements that she saw on Instagram and should she take these? And I was like, no. Let's get to basics. So, again, plant predominant diet. That's the term I like to use. And I also really like to reference the recommendations from the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, which focus on a whole foods, plant based diet. And I like to think of a plate on the Harvard School of Public Health website on the nutrition page. There's actually a beautiful figure that makes it very simple for anyone to understand. Anyone listening can Google this. It's called the Harvard Healthy Eating Plate. And on the plate, half of the plate is fruits and vegetables.
Yeah.
So just think of your plate, half the plate fruits and vegetables, a quarter some type of whole grain, and a quarter some type of protein. And that might be a plant-based protein source, or maybe it's fish or chicken if you choose to eat those foods. And certainly we want to limit red meat and avoid processed meats. So that's the basic concept, focusing on whole foods, plant predominant, whole grains, really eliminating processed meats and certainly eliminating a lot of these ultra processed foods that are out there that we know are very convenient but are not good for us.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Great. Great advice. How much does physical activity influence long term outcomes in cancer survivors? Are certain types of movement better than others?
Such a great question. And I feel like this field is really taking off. So there actually is a field called exercise oncology. How cool is that?
I know.
At our recent major oncology meeting in early June of this year, 2025, the American Society of Clinical Oncology, there was a really exciting study presented called the Challenge Trial. And it was actually published after that presentation in the New England Journal of Medicine, our premier medical journal. So, what did the researchers do in this study? They took patients with colon cancer, high risk patients who were stage 2 and 3, individuals who did need aggressive treatment for their colon cancer, including chemo. And it was a randomized controlled trial. That is the gold standard in medicine, as you well know. Half of them were randomized to a very intensive exercise regimen with lots of coaching for behavior change, really intense. And the other half was given more of a health education approach, written materials, etc. And just to summarize briefly, they followed these patients out now for many years. And guess what they found? Those individuals who received the intensive exercise regimen counseling with a coach, etc., had a significant reduction in what we call disease-free survival. So if they were going to have a recurrence, it was significantly delayed, and an improvement in overall survival. So there you go, randomized controlled trial demonstrating the power of exercise for individuals with high-risk colon cancer. And of course, we'd love to have randomized controlled trials like this in every type of cancer, but we do have lots of data, certainly in breast cancer, prostate cancer, other cancers, that exercise is such a powerful tool to reduce risk of recurrence and improve outcome. So that is why I counsel every single patient I see all day long about the important role of physical activity. And I like to keep it pretty simple because we know our patients are overwhelmed, but the basic recommendation, which by the way is very overwhelming to people, but it's 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity each week that can be divided up however you would like throughout the week, and then 2 strength training sessions throughout the week. And that's a hard one for people too, and we can talk about that. But that's really the basics. And so we talk about the recommendations, and I certainly counsel my patients on some steps they can take to achieve that. But exercise is absolutely so important.
That's amazing because I think exercise also does a lot to, in a way, it actually changes even our microbiome. I read this article how it increases the butyrate producing bacteria, and there it somehow enhances the immune surveillance, which we know is the way our body screens for these cancer creating cells and gets rid of them, and it's just such an important step. So yeah, I'm so glad that you brought up that study, which has even added more evidence for cancer survivors. The important, because a lot of them are tired, they don't feel motivated, but they're doing, when they have that mentality, I'm doing this to prevent recurrence, it gives them a new sense of why to incorporate that. So that's such great advice. So we also know that cancer can impact mental and emotional well-being quite deeply. What tools or habits do you recommend for emotional recovery after their treatment ends?
Right. And this is a tough one. We know that a diagnosis of cancer is so scary. And after an individual goes through treatment, anxiety, stress, fear of recurrence, these are all on top of mind for our patients. And so, certainly in the Paving the Path to Wellness program and in my own clinic, I discuss with patients strategies to help address these issues. And there are lots of different evidence based strategies that we discuss. Some of them are things that we're very familiar with in the field of lifestyle medicine, the importance of mindfulness-based stress reduction techniques, which can be really helpful. And even for someone who's like never tried those techniques, if they really jump in, whether they're using an app or a dedicated program, they can really derive benefit from that. We just talked about exercise. Certainly, we know that exercise can help reduce stress and anxiety, and there's lots of research to support that. So that's another thing. And then another key thing, and I know we're going to get to social connection, but being in a support group, being with others who get it, who truly understand what it means to go through cancer treatment can be absolutely key. And I've certainly witnessed this in my own patients who will note that just being in a supportive group with other individuals who understand is maybe one of the greatest benefits of any kind of survivorship program that one develops.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. So nobody understands you better than somebody who's experienced that same journey. Yeah. And yeah, the survivorship program, I was also listening to the Mayo Clinic, how they've created the support group. And I don't know if Harvard has that too. Maybe that could be a source, and they don't have to be a patient, right, at Harvard to be part of the survivorship, or do they?
Well, currently for our Paving the Path to Wellness program, we have such a long waiting list just to do our
Oh,
program
okay.
within MGH that
Yeah.
we're limiting as MGH. But certainly, I think finding strategies to broaden the reach of the program is an important goal of mine because I feel every cancer patient, including Kate Middleton, would benefit from the Paving the Path to Wellness program.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, as far as I mean, and that's something, you kind of touched upon about the supplements, because I know a lot of people are always asking me as well which supplement is safe to take and things like that. So, what's your approach to incorporating these supplements and other integrative type therapies responsibly within lifestyle medicine?
Such an important question. We know our patients are heavily marketed with all kinds of supplements out there. Like that anecdote I shared earlier about the patient who reached out to me with some questions about that yesterday. I want to highlight the American Institute of Cancer Research, which is a great organization with lots of helpful resources for your listeners. So they have lots of great information, including the top 10 recommendations for cancer prevention, which are also relevant to cancer survivors. And they do highlight there is no data or evidence to support taking a supplement for cancer prevention or to, quote, prevent recurrence of cancer. There is no supplement that will do that. There are certain indications where a patient would, of course, benefit from a supplement. Let's talk about a person who needs vitamin D to help improve bone health. And we know vitamin D has additional benefits as well. So, vitamin D and sometimes calcium are indicated. Sometimes, if a person has iron deficiency, of course, they should be on iron. And I recommend that all the time. But in general, there are so many things out there. I recommend my patients get their nutrients from a whole food, plant predominant diet where you get all the healthy phytonutrients that we need, as well as the fiber. Fiber. I actually haven't mentioned that yet today, but we talked earlier about the gut microbiome. Fiber is your friend. Most of us, I hate to say it, are fiber deficient. And we need more fiber, right? So, how are you going to get that? It is better to get it from eating the apple rather than some kind of supplement that has powdered greens in it or whatever it has in it. So, I'm really not a fan of supplements. Plus, these supplements are not regulated. You don't really know what's in there when you spend so much money on whatever it may be. And so I'm very skeptical. So many of my patients take supplements, and I'm sure many of your listeners do too. But I would be trying to educate yourself very much about why are you taking this supplement? What is the benefit you're hoping to achieve? And do you actually think that the product you purchased has what's in it that you think is benefiting you? And so I would be very cautious about that. Plus, a lot of them can unfortunately interact with the important cancer medications that we want our patients to take. So that's a tough one, but not a big fan.
Yeah. And I think we really under promote food as medicine because of the amount of money people spend on supplements. And even as an allergist, immunologist, I have seen probably more side effects from supplements than prescription drugs. Like you pointed out, they're not FDA screened. There's a lot of contaminants, and we never, just because they're priced expensive doesn't make them high quality. I think that's such an important point. And Dr. Commander, sleep often gets overlooked. How important is quality sleep in cancer survivorship, and what strategies do you share with patients struggling to get it?
Yeah, sleep, that's such a big one. Thank you for highlighting it. And we know sleep disturbance or insomnia is highly prevalent in cancer survivors. I know in my own patients all day long, my patients are talking about how their sleep is disrupted, whether it's by hot flashes or stress and anxiety or pain. And this is something I talk about all day long. So we know sleep is so important for recovery and healing. And we're learning more and more, from scientific research about the benefits of sleep for our overall health. It's so interesting to learn about the lymphatic system, which is so cool. Anyway, so I am involved in a research project actually with a colleague at Mass General, Dr. Daniel Hall, who's a psychologist who's really studying the benefits of cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, which is sort of the gold standard treatment for insomnia, but specifically adapting it to the needs of cancer survivors. So that's really been an interesting collaboration. I've learned so much. And I can honestly tell you, I saw a patient on Monday who told me she was in the study. It was pretty hardcore learning about CBTI, but her sleep is already improving. And so she's so grateful that she got to participate in this study. So I'm really hopeful that interventions like that can eventually help more people. But of course, we also talk about all the other sleep hygiene techniques that you and I, talk about all the time with our patients, just because those basics are important too. But yes, sleep is key, and we definitely need to do a better job addressing this for, everyone, but including our cancer survivor population.
Yeah, and are you still open for enrollment, or are you done?
So this particular trial in collaboration with Dr. Daniel Hall is open to patients in Massachusetts, but I bet at some point he's going to broaden the reach of it because, again, this is such an important intervention for our cancer survivors. And, our patients, well, we all need sleep, but especially when you're going through cancer treatment and trying to recover, sleep is absolutely essential. So I'm hopeful in the future it can be open to more individuals.
So, if a person is a cancer survivor in Massachusetts, they can still try to enroll in your study. And what's a good way for them to contact or your research coordinator? Or
That's a great question. I know Dr. Daniel Hall at the Mass General Cancer Center, there is a website that he has that has information about who's eligible for the study. We did make it quite broad in terms of eligibility. We wanted patients of all stages and all types of cancer, not just breast cancer, but everyone to be eligible. And Therefore, it's going to be very interesting to look at this data. So I can get back to you with a specific link.
Okay, that would be great.
Made it as easy as possible for people, within Massachusetts to reach out so they can start enrolling.
Amazing. Yeah. And then I'll put that in the show notes and people can access it over there. So how do social connections, and you had mentioned about the support group. So social connections, a sense of purpose, how does all of this factor into healing after cancer from a lifestyle medicine perspective?
So I love this question, and I'm going to be totally honest with you. When I first was introduced to the field of lifestyle medicine and working with Dr. Beth Brady's, shout out to her, to develop the Paving the Path to Wellness program for breast cancer survivors, I was all revved up. I'm going to go over the science of why exercise is so important. We're going to take a deep dive into the nutrition and the gut microbiome. We're going to learn all about the mechanisms of the body that facilitates stress and how we can address that. This is my mindset, okay? The doctor's mindset, the scientist mindset. Guess what? We did all that in this 12-week program in person with this amazing group of women who now call themselves the Originals. So at the last week of the program, I was like, congratulations, everyone. You finished the 12-week paving program. You're done. Congrats. And they all looked at me, and I still remember one of the women, Linda, who I'm still very close with, of course. She's like, Dr. Commander, we are not done, okay? So honestly, the women, yes, they learned together all the stuff I was like trying to teach them, but they bonded. It was amazing. They had this immense bond. They were women of all ages. I had women in their 30s. I had a woman in her 70s, all different types of breast cancer, all different life stages, but they really came together over this shared connection of we have breast cancer and we want to be empowered with these tools to thrive after our diagnosis. And they also were like, we're not done. We're continuing to meet. We have this strong bond and connection. So those ladies, by the way, would be awesome guests on the podcast, they kept meeting in person twice a month. And then, unfortunately, COVID happened. So then they, like all of us, pivoted to Zoom. And they are continuing to meet twice a month. So now it's been over 5 years. Okay, that's pretty cool. So I love those ladies. So my point is, social connection, that may have been the most important part of lifestyle medicine that was taught through this program. And Dr. Commander learned something too. We always learn from our patients, right? They are our greatest teachers.
Yeah, and I think if I'm not mistaken, there was a study that looked at how many years people have survived post, I think, treatment. And those with the strongest social connections tend to do better. And I think you see that even with heart disease and other life-threatening conditions. Those with the strongest social connections tend to have the better duration of survivor, and even I think quality of life and things like that. So that is such an important piece of information we should be providing our patients in, and even providing them resources where they can find these support groups so they can take advantage of that. So thank you for sharing that story. That is such a cool story. Is there a role for tracking biomarkers, like, wearing like these wearable technology that's available in the market these days? And how do you personalize survivorship plans and monitor progress?
Love that. So yeah, these tools are really taking off. I am wearing my Aura ring right now. And why did I get it, by the way? To improve my own sleep, which is the pillar of lifestyle medicine I am most deficient in, and I'm still a work in progress, like we all are. Many of my patients do have these devices. They choose to get them, whether it's an Aura ring or a Whoop or a Fitbit or their Apple Watch, or there's so many out there now. So it's so interesting. We've thought about in our paving program, should we, study that, like have people all use a Fitbit, I'm just using that as an example, or some other device and monitor their physical activity or other metrics. And it is such an interesting, new field to like explore further. So we haven't done it quite yet, but I do think I can just tell you anecdotally from my own patients, they're so motivated. So many people are like, I get in my steps now. I'm so excited. I try to get in 7,000 steps a day. I use my watch, which tells me I've been sitting too long, right? Sitting is the new smoking. So they're like, I
Yeah.
get up every hour and I walk around my living room if I'm working from home. And so these devices can be super helpful, as I'm sure you would agree. And I'm curious how you use them with your own patients, because right now I think it's still a fun tool, but I wouldn't say we're systematically doing it.
Yeah, so I actually have my own coaching support group.
Awesome.
And one of the ways, because we're all traveling and some of them are located in different countries, once a week we have them post pictures. So some use their Apple Watch, and some even use the health app. And they create on Canva, they put all of that information together and then take a screenshot and share it with the group. So just how much fat I've lost, how much muscle I've gained, how many steps I've taken. Yeah, so I think with some of this wearable technology, you can also kind of motivate each other and show the progress you've made with whatever the lifestyle changes you've implemented. So yeah, I totally agree that the technology has made it more motivating for some individuals and brings people together and even compete. And for those that it works, for some it's inspirational. For others, the competition actually pushes them further than they would if they were just doing it on their own. So if you could give, yeah, go ahead.
So cool. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're giving me all these great ideas. So I love it. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
That's fine. So, if you could give just one piece of lifestyle advice to every cancer survivor listening right now, what would that be and why?
Wow. Well, I want to let you know that, your crazy friend over here. So I'm actually training for the New York Marathon, which is
Yay!
December 2nd.
I'm
Anyway, but
excited.
I'm running. Honestly, I'm running to honor my father, who very sadly passed away from cancer
Oh,
himself
I'm
in
sorry.
January. Thank you. But I'm running to honor him. He was a pretty amazing person in many ways. Any shred of strength or resilience I have is from him. So, anyway, but I'm running for a team called Brave Like Gabe, which is honoring the memory of another amazing person, Gabe Grunwald, who was a young professional distance runner, seriously amazing, who sadly had a diagnosis of adenoid cystic carcinoma at a young age. And unfortunately, it was metastatic. So she was undergoing pretty intensive treatments for this rare disease. But why am I telling you this story? Despite everything thrown her way at such a young age, so unfair, right? She had this incredibly positive attitude and way to really focus on hope. In fact, her mantra was running on hope. And I actually was thinking about her today since I'm training for this marathon, and I wanted to share one of her quotes, which I think would inspire your listeners. And this is my message I'd love to share. So I have it right here. Cancer can stop you from doing a lot of things. I'm well aware of that. But I'm more interested in what cancer can't stop me from doing. And here's to finding that. And that's from Gabe Grunwald. So
Wow.
I love that. So I would encourage your listeners, if there are people listening who have a history of cancer or who are in the midst of treatment right now or supporting a loved one, think about what you can do. Let's focus on what you can do. And there's a lot of things you can do. And let's just focus on that, which is, I think, such a powerful message.
I love that. Yeah. And, sometimes we want to achieve these huge things, but even waking up in the morning, appreciating the life that you thought you may not have, and now you do have that chance of living and being with your loved ones. And there's so many people, like you've even mentioned your dad that passed away. And I remember all the Facebook posts, because you and I are friends on Facebook, and the amazing family journey that you've posted. It's really amazing when people feel like they've gotten a second chance in life. That even in and of itself is such a gift. And using that one day at a time mentality, one step, one moment at a time mentality, just do whatever you can. I love that. That gives people that feeling of hope. And I don't have to like climb Mount Everest. I can just take that one step and do whatever I can, whatever is in my power to do, meet myself at that place of where I am today. And I think a lot of times we're not kind enough to ourselves. We put all these unrealistic expectations. And I think when I was reading Kate Middleton's article of how she was expecting to be that mother that she was before her cancer diagnosis, and how she's dealing with all this fatigue, and how she wasn't mentally prepared to face that person that she is after the treatment. And I think for all of us, it's a reminder to be more kind to ourselves. Things happen. And even it doesn't even have to be cancer, right? For others, it can be so many other trauma that have happened in life. And we know that cancer is definitely a trauma that happens to people. And just be okay with the fact that, yes, you've been through this and you are who you are today, but it in a way makes you a more powerful version, even if it's not what you thought you would be. And just to embrace that and to keep going. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Commander. You've shared so much valuable information with us. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we conclude?
I'm just so grateful to you for all the work you do to bring these important topics to such a wide audience. So just keep doing what you're doing, and thank you for the invitation. I'm so grateful.
Yeah, thank you. And we hope to have you again in the future.